Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video again about the snowstorm possibility across the country this upcoming Friday, Saturday. So this storm system, the models have actually increased the snow potential out of the system, which comes as a little bit of a surprise. To be honest, I thought that system was going to be a little bit of a bust. But anyways, it's going to be impactful in terms of the rain. It's a pretty large system, very widespread, will be delivering quite a bit of heavy rain. However, the snow aspect, the snow scenario to that side, was looking very bleak. However, I'll run you through it and show you that some things have definitely changed. So, first off, consider subscribing to this channel, consider liking this video. It really means a lot to me, and it's a real pleasure. So consider doing that. Also, if you like the video, if you view this channel every day and you like the video, that really helps out a lot as well. So thank you for that. Notice we have that first system, that winter storm gauge, still kind of impacting lots of the northeast and into parts of the Midwest. We can notice that there's a third low that develops across the northeast, could deliver a punch of snow, but that's about it. Notice behind it we get another surge of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, that basically just ascends into the United States, and that really spawns quite a bit of rain across the Ohio Valley, the the Midwest, really the southern Midwest, and just the south as well. You can see very heavy rain amounts. We have that low pressure right here, which behind it you can see a little bit of snow could develop. And now you can see there's quite a nice band of snow over here. Whether or not this will be very strong or weak, we'll have to see. The latest model run, that 18Z, has decreased the intensity of this, but that's just a fluctuation between weather models. The previous one had a pretty strong system out of this. Notice that it does deliver a little bit of snow and actually introduce some cold air, which could set the stage. So this system could be pretty important either way if it's not even a big snowmaker. Notice it could drop a little bit of snow across those locations. Doesn't seem too significant at this point, really, but it could definitely drop a little bit of snow. Notice that if we were to look at the 12Z Monday, which was the prior model run today, it dropped a little bit more snow. Let me show you the MSLP and precip. It was a little bit more impressive, but I would definitely say that the snow chances have gone up a little bit. You can see right there a little bit more snow to it across Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, and then some snow on the backside of it. So not a heavy hitter, but you can see just in general, snowstorms look to be pretty active across the country. We get quite a few storms out of the pattern. So let's just talk about the pattern in general. So again, this snowstorm you can see right there, we have that first one. Here's that second one. The GFS puts out a little bit of snow for that. The European doesn't do too much with it, really. To be honest with you, it does have a system, which is good. They're agreeing on a general storm, though the amounts of snow are also it puts out are pretty low, though it generally could be still impactful. Maybe 3 inches, 4 inches across northern Illinois and northern Indiana. Then it moves out, but introduces a little bit of cold air, which is vital, and potentially a bigger storm up here, which we'll have to watch. But let's just talk about the pattern in general. Pattern looks pretty darn active. If you were to go to the 12Z Monday and look at the total snowfall all the way through 384 hours, you'd notice that, yeah, it looks very snowy. I mean, the mountainous in the northwest just looks to be absolutely slammed by snow. It looks very stormy for the early part of January. Very stormy, very snowy, very active, even parts of Seattle, maybe seeing a little bit of snow. Portland, those lower elevated areas, wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of snow out of that. Notice across Maine and parts of southern Canada, just an absolute frenzy as well, up to 40 inches in some isolated areas. Wisconsin, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Des Moines, Iowa, even Chicago, Illinois getting on some of the snow. You can see some pretty significant snow amounts. Now, this won't be really south-centered. It doesn't seem like the cold air will really be able to get that far south as of now, but there's quite a bit of potential for some heavier snow. So let's take this apart and let's look at these storm systems. So I'll show you the 18Z in just a minute. Right now we're looking at the 12Z model run. Notice that it introduces that first storm. You can see a little bit of snow, not really impressive, just some snow showers on the backside. The thing is, that's impressive with this storm is it introduces quite a bit of cold air. which allows for different systems, you can see, to take advantage of this. A nice swath of snow across Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, and that passes through and possibly becomes a stronger storm across the Northeast. We'll have to watch that. And again, more cold air and another storm passes through, especially across the Wisconsin, Michigan area. Then it really intensifies into a giant system across Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont. That could really be a potential one to watch. Then we see another system very far out starting to form. So overall, I would say very active and very stormy. Now let's look at what the latest model run has. Very similar, that's the thing, that the latest model run is very similar. The storms have changed in terms of their layout, but still very active. So notice we have just very general stormy conditions across the Northwest. We're looking at just constant rain and snow coming in off the Pacific. And we see again that first system possibly delivering a little bit of snow across the country on Saturday and Friday. We'll have to watch. A little bit of snow showers behind it, maybe a potential clipper coming through the United States, which we'll definitely have to monitor. Then we see this one has a little low across the more southern U.S., North Carolina, Tennessee. We'll have to watch that as well, maybe potentially for a nor'easter type system to develop. Doesn't look too strong at this point, but we'll have to watch that. Then at around Friday, January 10th, we see another system starting to develop. Notice that we see a re-intensification of a storm, 991. This one is pretty strong as well. Doesn't really phase that well, but the Northeast could get a pretty good doozy out of this, especially if it tracks a little bit further to the south. Then we see another little system to the north. We see another storm develop. So overall, I would just have to say lots of storminess. Now, in terms of temperatures, they won't be awfully too cold. They will actually be pretty, moderate. I wouldn't say they're warm. I wouldn't say they're cold. I would say they're kind of in between. But it looks definitely more snowy than cold, which is really what you want. I mean, many people don't really look ahead and say, oh, we want cold. Usually you want cold and snow, not just cold by itself, which in this case we'll get more snow, I think, than cold, especially since no big heat waves going on in January. Even if it's above average, you could still see plenty of snow. That's just the time of the year. You don't need brutal cold in order to see snow. In fact, you probably don't want that, as usually cold air has less moisture and has less capability of producing big storms. So this is kind of the pattern you'll want for bigger storms. And that's really supported by a lot of the models. If you were to look at the Canadian model, let's look at what storms are showing at a glance. So again, we have that winter storm gauge coming through right now. We already had just one recent storm. Again, this was a pretty powerful one, delivered quite a bit of snow, and is still delivering quite a bit of snow. I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. So notice there that passes through. We see that re-intensification of another system. Possibly this one doesn't have a snowy scenario to it, though it may be very well snowy. 995 millibars right there passes through. We have a system to the north, again, kind of like a clipper-like system we'll have to watch. Diving across the northern U.S. We have another system. The Canadian also takes it across the southern U.S. And notice it really intensifies across the Northeast, so a potential nor'easter, we'll definitely have to monitor that. And that's how far it goes. It's just the overall stormy active pattern, it seems, with snow chances definitely on the rise, and that makes sense. It's January, it's been very warm, and now it's about time for this snow and cold to come back. Let's look at the European model. Let's go to North America. Let me show you some of these temperature anomalies. Notice we get several dips, several large storm systems coming through, and overall nothing too warm, but nothing too awfully cold either. At the beginning, it doesn't look as if it will be supportive of a heat wave or of any sort. You can see maybe a little bit of a warm up, then a little bit of a cool off, that type of progressive pattern, which is very conducive towards bigger storms. If we were to look at the ensemble EPS model, these are basically a bunch of European lake model combined in the European ensemble. So it's a bunch of models in a European model, and you can see that we see cold, maybe a little bit of warming towards the end, but again, that has been shifting around for the latest, and really it hasn't been consistent. Mainly the cold has been consistent with several big storms, which we'll have to monitor and watch. At this point, though, January doesn't look too awfully cold, at least the first 15 days, though it doesn't look warm at all. It looks really a progressive pattern. One time cold, one time warm, once cold, once warm. Doesn't seem as if it will be supportive for either, which is actually perfect for big snowstorms. So this upcoming pattern, because of its progressiveness and where the temperatures are going to lie out and the jet stream is going to ride, we could be looking at a pretty darn stormy pattern and a lot of snow to come with that. Again, I want to emphasize you do not have to see a lot of cold in order to see snow in January, as it's usually cold enough to see snow. And let's look at the NAM model for the upcoming system, this weekend's upcoming system. You could see it's fairly disorganized what they're showing, but I'm sure that the NAM is a little bit far out and it doesn't have the best handle on it, and sometimes the NAM does scatter things out when it's out in the future. This looks a little bit disorganized. In fact, too disorganized to actually be kind of perceived as good information, but you will see, I mean, there's quite a bit of disagreement, if you will, on the snow side of the system, though it does look like there will be some heavy rain events down to the south with this system. If you were to look at the precip in terms of the 2-meter temperature, in terms of total precipitation, you could see some generous amounts, and that would definitely not be good, especially those locations have been seeing quite a bit already, and another system really is just not going to do that much good for it. Notice, however, the Northwest gets an absolute load of rain and precipitation. I mean, just ridiculous amounts. Quite literally, you could see, I mean, just 12, 14, 16, 20 inches of rain possibly across the Northwest, the mountains, and Seattle, Washington, Oregon, and into Northern California. So that is really what is kind of a thing we need to look out for. Notice not much in the central United States, but look at the eastern U.S. Very, very significant amounts of precip as well. Some of this would be falling in snow, obviously. So thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.